that is everything for today. That is everything for Stages 101 for now. Once again, if you want to see more, please let me know. Let me know what you would like to see, the topics, everything else. And I hopefully, maybe, possibly could do. See you in the next one. Somewhere in Phase 3. Now Stages 101 is over, we're safe from Dreamer. Yeah, no more equipment guides to beat me.
Dreamer, we must speak, for I am the main villain of Season 6 Tower of Memory. You need to create an equipment guide immediately to help the players of AFK Journey overcome Viperion and Igor. What will you say?
Yeah, go on then. Hey everybody, it's me, it's Dreamer, welcome back. This is a post-credit special of Stages 101. You guys requested a equipment guide for Phase 3. I wasn't going to do it, but I'm doing it. Now, today in this video, I am going to take you through my thinking as to why I am building my equipment this way. Now, like in the past, what I will do, I am not going to go into great detail to explain exactly what equipment does. I've done that in a previous video, and you can go ahead and check my in-depth equipment guide that I made many moons ago if that is of interest to you. Now, what I am going to do is, like normal, give you 3 lists. Now, the first list that I'm going to give you is a Saida and Silven list, meaning you have built both of these characters. They will be your prominent damage dealers. The next list is if you have Silven built, but you don't own Saida. And the third list is if you own neither of them in a fully built manner, and you are using mainly Bael or Faramor as your damage dealer. Now, to caveat all of this, I am not 100% of the time correct. What I will say also is I can't create a list for every type of account. I have to draw a line somewhere, and that is what I do by creating 3 fairly diverse lists for differing types of accounts. Now, before I show you these lists, there are some housekeeping kind of notes that I need to provide to you. Now, the first one is the VN servers have already got access to Phase 3, so we already know what the AFK stage initial few days holds for us. And it's safe to say that it's chaotic at its best. And what I mean by that is, I believe on day 1, over 600 AFK stages were doable. At the end of day 2, they were roughly just over 750 stages done, and by the end of day 3, they had completed every single Phantomal stage and had 4 normal AFK stages before heading into Apex. Yes, so by the end of the 3rd day, which would theoretically for me here in the UK be Tuesday next week, we would be staring at Apex almost. And lo and behold, the 4th day of the phase, they were in Apex stages. So why am I telling you this? Why I am telling you this is that is an absurd amount of AFK stages to be done in a very short period of time. My list or my lists may not be the right option for you if you are someone that cares about being through those stages in a 4-day period. And the reason I say that, and I say this every time, is I am not setting these lists for success in those AFK stages. I am setting you up for success in Apex. Early Apex is abysmal. It is so challenging, and it normally is easier if you have built your equipment correctly. Now, it differs from account to account. If you are someone who owns every single hero in Paragon 4 fully crowned, you have a lot more room to play with than someone that has a fully Supreme Plus account. And once again, your list may look completely different bearing on your account type. Now, why am I going to be focusing on the pieces that I'm going to be focusing on? Effectively, in Season 6, the most powerful source of damage, ironically, isn't our heroes, it's our artifacts. Our artifacts all scale off something called Team Attack. And Team Attack comes from, lo and behold, our heroes attack. meaning the pieces of equipment that we want to prioritize for the classes that we are using are the attack pieces, and hopefully Editor Dreamer is showing you in a video what they look like and what they are. Now, I don't encourage you to pick up every single one of these. That isn't what I'm saying. What I will say and what we're about to do is flow through into the lists. And as we get to the lists, what I want to say, and this is my final caveat, if you are going to follow one of these, please don't do what some players did last phase and half-ass it. Don't just follow them briefly and then deviate. If you're going to commit, commit. Because if you change your course on any list that you follow halfway through, it will go wrong. And I don't want it to go wrong for you. I genuinely don't. And to hammer home how critical getting your equipment correct is, in Pioneer, in Phase 3, in the Apex stages, there was one case where a specific AFK stage, and there were many of these to be fair, but there was one in particular where 85 to 90% of our damage in that given AFK stage came from our artifact alone. Yes, Bulwark artifact contributed in a specific fight 88% of my damage. That is insane. And that is all based off team attack, which comes from your hero's ascension, your EX weapon levels, but also your equipment and your season level, to be fair, but your equipment. And that's why I'm putting so much emphasis on you getting this correct. You don't have to follow my lists. You can use them as frameworks for your own, but whatever you do, commit. Go all in, have fun, be patient. You've got this. All right, without further ado, let's jump into the lists. So list number 1 is that Saida Silven. This is mainly for those people that have a majority of the units built in AFK Journey. The list is on the screen for you to see in all of its glory. Now, normally what I would do is I wouldn't give you too much of a tail, meaning I tend to give you the final like 9 to 10 boxes if you have watched any of my equipment guides in the past. This time I have tried to add some guidance in terms of some of the additional boxes. I still haven't given you everything, purely because I believe that anything sub 1010, so 1010 in terms of levels, you should be using where you see fit. Whether that is juggling support rogue 1, 2, 3, or picking up some side pieces for ranger, mage, tank. You do what you see fit. This, however, is my preparation up to the final set of boxes and then the final set of boxes themselves. Now, why have I done what I have done here? Personally, I believe that the teams that we are going to utilize the most will have Saida and Silven most prevalent, which is why I have called this list the Saida Silven list. In the last phase, I ideated that Galahad would still see a fair amount of use, and she possibly could in Phase 3. She didn't in Phase 2, and I was wrong. In Phase 3, however, she could due to Blazeburn. But even if she doesn't, we still use Mihira in the team of Saida, Silven, Hugin, etc. And in addition to that, we use tanks. So you have Theodore, you have Gunnar, you have Auna, and these heroes also want the tank items that we have in our list. But fundamentally, the most important is the rogue and support 1, 2, 3, which is why I have set it up as I have. Now, I know other players like having the rogue third item as their 1200 or as their 1190. This is just my personal preference. This is what I go for. And this is my ultimate Saida Silven list that you can choose to follow or just choose to use as your framework. And just to be transparent, this is the list that I personally will be using. If I ever change my mind, if I ever change this list, I always update the pinned comment at the top of this video. Therefore, you can see any changes that I'm making in real time to list number 1, because that is what, once again, I will be using. Okay. List number 2 is the non-Saida but has Silven built. This is also thinking along the lines of, yes, you'll be using Silven as your backbone or as one of your main damage dealers, but therefore you will also be relying on the likes of Faramor, as we have seen emerge in Phase 2 and logically he always does this into phase 2 and phase 3, is Faramor. And it's likely that you have Faramor built because he is a faction hero. As a result of that, this list takes into account the use of supports, ranger, and rogue. But once again, it spares a thought for your tanks and also your mage heroes. It's likely that you'll be using Mihira or Siren, and then from a tank perspective, once again, Theodore, Auna, Gunnar, these sorts of heroes, or even Olnus, I should say, because he made an emergence in phase 2 if you didn't have these other sorts of heroes. So yeah, this is the reason why I have put together the list in the way that I have. Now, if you did watch list number 1 and you didn't skip through to list number 2, you'll have seen that I provided more levels. I provided more depth in terms of choices. The reason that I haven't done that for this list is I haven't sat here and ideated long enough. But if you look at the list itself in terms of the tail that I gave list number 1, it was basically repeating the first few items from 1200 down to, say, 1140. You could do the exact same thing from 1160 and beneath, and that would be completely fine. And in fact, that is probably what I would recommend for you to do. But this just gives you some more flexibility, because if you are, like I've always said in these sorts of guides, if you are struggling, there is no shame in opening a box for a different item before you get to the bottom of this list. That is what those boxes should be there for. They should be like chess pieces that solve a particular problem, puzzle, whatever you want to define it as. Okay, that is list number 2. It goes without saying, if you do have any questions, you are more than welcome to ask me in the comments. I am always happy to talk through any of my logic, any of my thinking. More than happy to. Okay, cool. List number 3. All right, list number 3 is you have neither Saida or a fully built Silven. This does factor in low copies of Silven still. And when I say low copies, I mean like legendary. So you've barely started to ascend Silven, but he is in a quote-unquote usable state. However, outside of Silven, you'll be mainly using Faramor and Bael. Now, similar to list number 1 and list number 2, we've gone with a variety of different classes, and we're focusing on mainly their attack pieces. But what you will see is the warrior items don't actually always have attack on them. Like, look at the 1180 piece, the warrior's 6th item, the boots. This has purely health, so why on earth have you picked that, Dreamer? Bael, his damage scales not only off attack, but it scales off health. Yes, he is fairly unique in the game of AFK Journey. He has 2 different types of damage modifiers, or 2 different types of scaling, I should say, and one of them is based off his own health pool. So, the health items actually do more good for Bael by himself than the attack pieces do. But I have still made sure to include a warrior weapon to bump our team attack up for bulwark artifact damage or blaze burn damage, whatever it is. Now, once again, there are some notes here. If you just periodically, or categorically I should say, own no copies of Silven at all, you just don't want to go near that hero, I've made a suggestion in how you can approach swapping out the ranger items. And there are also some asterisks, which are the little stars next to individual pieces. And as you can see from the key, you're more than welcome to swap those around where you see fit. Now, I said this on list number 2, I didn't say it on list number 1, but if you do have any questions, please just let me know in the comments. I am more than happy to help and talk through anything that I've put on here. Okay, cool. And with that, we are done with our 3 lists. Now, if you want any of these, you can just go back into the video and simply take a picture of them. What I have done for you is I've put them in the video description. The top pinned comment will have list number 1, which is that Silven Saida list that I personally will be following. And if I deviate from it, you will see the edited mark, which means that I have effectively edited the list, or at least I've made a mistake in my spelling somewhere. But yes, just keep an eye on that if you do really care about what I am doing with my equipment. And by the way, you are always more than welcome to message me to find out just like one-to-one if I have changed anything, if like my logic has changed, if my thinking has changed, whatever. But yeah, without further ado, I think that is basically everything for today's video. What I would say is, once again, just to reinforce what I was saying earlier, and I'm really sorry that I'm banging this drum again and again and again, but it needs to be done purely because of the community response that I sometimes get to these. And that is that if you are going to select one of these lists, please just commit to it. Don't just change halfway through. It will make your life a lot worse. Once again, the expectation is that we have so many AFK stages doable in the first 3 to 4 days, but these lists are to set you up for success in early Apex. So you may take a bit of pain initially and have a slower reach to Apex by like a day, but if you can do that and tolerate being a little bit behind, you will be benefiting once you get into Apex, I promise. Alright team, that's everything. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope that Phase 3 is enjoyable for you. I know that Phase 2 was an absolute slog for many of you, and so many of you have messaged me to say that you had a torrid time. I hope that Phase 3 is better, both in terms of the game, but also the sentiment that you feel towards it. Just a reminder, I will be live streaming this Sunday for the release of Phase 3. I'll be doing some giveaways. I'll be streaming for quite a while, so come along, come say hello. I'd love to see you there. And yeah, I hope you had fun with the beginning of the video, by the way. I don't know if I hit the bullseye or if I just missed the dartboard completely. You let me know if you liked it. If not, maybe keep it to yourself. All right, cool. I shall see you in the next one.